As you probably know, IGN France was recently in the news, as their journalist Azala was apparently so offended that Eve, the protagonist of Stellar Blade, is nice looking, that he actually insulted the creative lead, once again saying that he had never seen a woman. Obviously a moronic thing to say for a lot of reasons, and only amplified because this is apparently the creative lead's wife, and you can see she is indeed a beautiful woman. Plus, the protagonist Eve is based on a woman herself. IGN France then made a number of excuses in response to the massive backlash that they got for that terrible article. Ultimately, IGN France then made even more excuses, but let's fast forward to the more recent news, where IGN has since offered an official apology after the French branch insults Stellar Blade director for choosing to create attractive female protagonist, writes Bounding into Comics. The apology saying that the insulting text from IGN France in the article written by Azala should have never been published, essentially. Further saying that IGN France is an independent branch of IGN, and that IGN's editorial staff had nothing to do with this incident. And ultimately issuing an apology directly to Shift Up Corporation. Shift Up being the devs behind Stellar Blade. Well, apparently the editor-in-chief for IGN France is now in complete meltdown mode. This post, allegedly from the editor-in-chief for IGN France, being posted and translated by Topek899. Here's the translation, and we'll read it in just a moment. First, let me also show you this. I ran the other comment through a translator myself, and it does seem like Topek's translation is pretty accurate. Back to Topek's translation of the apparent editor-in-chief for IGN France, saying this. Yes, no problem. Go tell that to the women who are hit, life-ended, denigrated, or take their own lives because they cannot live up to the fictional standards expected by men. The problem is not the sexy design itself, except that it sucks compared to others. But hey, that doesn't matter. But the percentage of males who will only want this type of fictional body in reality. Obviously, we understand that this does not shock people who think that women are objects who must obey and be beaten. This design makes us sigh and roll our eyes, and we laugh at anyone who needs it, man or woman, but that's it. The certainly clashing remark in the text, which targets the entire creative process, not necessarily a specific designer or the game director. This is obvious to anyone who knows a little French. Only has this impact because a good portion of gamers have become too fragile to being fed the patriarchy. With Topek writing at the end, those writers are completely insane. Further responses to that Corpo's unhinged rant include, there's something very wrong with these people. Fiction is not reality. And that's a whole bunch of words to say video games cause violence. There's very little evidence that sexualization in video games causes any of what he says. Also, women have way higher standards than men, even towards the same sex. Well, let me know what you think about all of that in the comments, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this segment, also consider liking and or subscribing, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.